Today we're going to look at the latest Unlimited Elements custom widget that we have up on Elements library. It's called the Image Sequence Player, and what it does is that it allows you to build these type of image sequence effect that gets drawn on the screen while the user scrolls. So it's something that is used a lot on Apple website. There are other sites that makes use of it. It's pretty cool and useful when you want to showcase a product or describe the insides of a product or the usage of a product, etc., etc. So the widget itself is built with the widget creator from Unlimited Elements for Elementor. So in order to use the widget, you will need to install Unlimited Elements before. So once you install Unlimited Elements for Elementor, and you go to the widget tab, uh, when you download the widget from the link on the video description, you can import it through here. You just drag and drop and import the widget, and then you will see the widget in question here. And just like all the other widgets from Unlimited Elements, you have access to the code that you can change the attributes, and you can add your own if you like, etc., etc. So from a user's perspective, here I have a simple page with 3 sections, I believe. Yeah, 3 sections, with the middle section being empty for now. So just like for motion effects, when you have a lot of elements that you want to show, you need to give a adequate height to your section in order to have enough, I'm gonna say, scrolling room within that section. So the widget itself is called image sequence. So for sequence, so at first you're not gonna see anything because there aren't any default asset included within the widget. But as far as the settings goes, it's split up into 3 sections. So one section for each device, and all sections share the same settings or attributes. So I'm gonna go see how we're gonna set up this. Now, an image sequence is essentially a video that is split up where each frame becomes a separate image. So if you have a video with 30 frames and you generate, that's, I don't know, 5 seconds long, for example, and you generate an image sequence in Adobe Premiere or VLC player or online generator, um, if you have 30 frames and the video is 5 seconds long, and you'll end up with an image sequence of 150 images, since 30 times 5 will be equals 150. So each frame in the video becomes a separate image, and what the widget does is that when you scroll, it will sequentially draw each of the frames in the sequence. So the widget, the first setting that we have in the widget is the folder URL, and this is basically the location of your image sequence in question. In this case, in this local installation, I have a folder called AirPods under the Uploads folder, and then within the AirPods folder I have a folder for each device type. So we are going to just give it the URL in question, and this URL, the files, they do not need to be on the local host as long as it's accessible with a URL. They can be pretty much anywhere. Amazon is 3-bucket, CDN, or what have you. Now, the next setting is the file name prefix padding, and this is essentially when you generate an image sequence in like Adobe Premiere, for example, you get this sequence of numbers, and all VLC Player 2, whatever you use, you're gonna end up with a file name uh, unless you specify anything else in order to have a prefix or whatever. The file name will be basically a certain number of digits, and in this case we have 4 digits in every file name. So in here, by default it's 3. We're gonna put 4. The next setting is the image extension, self-explanatory. In this case we have the same as the default, that is JPEG. Number of images, we have 148 images in this example, and this setting here needs to have total number of images minus 1, so in this case 147. The next section is the canvas dimension, and this setting needs to have the same dimension as the images themselves. So in our example we have 1158 by 770. So now I should already be seeing the canvas, but I'm not, so I think I made a mistake somewhere. Yeah, it's AirPods, not ports. Let's see. Yeah, alright. So we can already see the image sequence, and when we scroll, it's already playing as expected. Alright, so the next settings that we have deal with the animation, starts end of the animation location, the pinning location of the canvas element. And before we start changing these values, in order to help visualize what we're doing, we can use these markers. So we can also give it a marker ID so that we can know which marker we're looking at on the screen. So I'm gonna call this one desktop, and if I say I click the show markers, we start having these markers here that can help us visualize what's happening. So by default, the pinning location and the starts of the animation is at 0%. So this is 0% means the top of the screen, and the end location is also at 0%. You can't see it here before because it's overlap, but there's the stars is always green and the end is red. And so what happens by default is that when the stars, the top of the canvas element gets to the top of the screen, it will be fixed, and then when we scroll, the animation plays, and at the end of the animation, when this end desktop marker here reaches the top of the screen, the animation will end and the elements will be unfixed, and the normal scrolling will take effect. So if you see, if we start scrolling, once we get to the top, the element is fixed to the screen, and when this marker reaches the top of the screen, the normal scroll starts working again. And so in this section we can change the values of these scroller start desktop, and this was essentially allows us is dictate where at which points in the screen we want the element to be fixed for the duration of the animation, which also means that's the point where the animation will start. So in this case, we probably want to fix it at this position. So maybe something like 10%. Yeah, so this is something that you will notice with the markers. It's not a bug. By default, GSAP, it doesn't keep track of the markers because it's something you only use in dev. They don't want to add more code for nothing just to handle this. It's only used during development. So they don't keep track of the markers. It just redraws new markers every time. It can be a bit annoying in this case, but it's not really a problem. You just refresh and you will only have the current marker drawn on the screen. So as you can see, we changed the location of the animation start location to 10, so it's down here. So this is 10% from the top. The animation end location is still at 0%, so the scroller and desktop is at the top of the screen. And so now when we scroll down, instead of the canvas being pinned to the top of the screen, it will be pinned at scroller start desktop location at 10% from the top. And so if we scroll, you see that now it is pinned here, the animation plays. And again, when end desktop reaches the end, normal scrolling behavior kicks in again. And this is also something that we can change. Again, we will have to refresh just to have a cleaner look, but this is the 30% from the top. So if we refresh, we just to get a cleaner look. And now what will happen is, again, it will start at 10%. We scroll, and now instead of ending at the top, it will end when the animation will end, and normal scroll will kick in again once we reach this point here. Yeah. And so yeah, the last setting is the what's called the scrub, and this is basically a sort of delay between the animation and the scrolling. So it can help you smooth the animation relative to the scrolling, depending on what image sequence you have and the scrolling speed that you have if you have changed it from the default one. By default, the scrub is at 0.5, so that means there's a 5 millisecond delay between the scroll and the animation itself. And you can change it, put whatever value. It, the right value will depend on your specific situation and the effect that you want. But as you can see, the animation plays with a delay of exactly 2 seconds right now from the scroll. So you can see that it still plays even though the scroll already ended. And so, like I said at first, all the other tabs, all three, they shared the same exact uh, settings. And the reason for this is you don't want to reuse and just resize this canvas with the same asset files that you have for desktop on other devices, because the clients will still end up downloading the heavy files that are meant for the desktop. If we look at, for example, let's see, if we look at the Apple site, you can see that this is the sequence of the first canvas, and in the tooltip you can see that it's coming from a folder called sequence large. So this is for the large devices. And if we look at the same, well, the first the dimension, the size you can see here for the desktop is this. And if we look at the yeah, we need to restart to refresh. If we look at the mobile version, you will see that it's coming from a different directory, in this case C equals small. And we look at the files, they have smaller dimension and a smaller file size. And this is the way that you're supposed to be doing it, basically. So that's why I have these three folders here, and that's why the widget has three sections. So if I look at the tablet right now, let me get rid of those markers. Yeah, need to refresh. So if we look at the tablet right now, you see that it's still using the desktop canvas by default because we haven't defined anything on the tablet. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy paste the location of the folder and change from desktop to tablet. The padded is the same, it's gonna be 4. Extension stays the same, the number of images is the same. Then we're gonna change the canvas width and height. In this case we have an image of 800 by 530, and we should already start seeing the canvas. Yeah, there you go. So now you can see that we have the right size for based on the new image size. And again, we probably don't want it to be stick to the top in this case, so we're gonna change the location to say maybe 20%. And so in this case it would be staked at 20% off the top. And again, same thing for mobile. Just give it the new location. The prefix is the same. Number of images are the same, and then it's just the width and height of the canvas. It should be based on the image dimension themselves. So in this case, 400 by 460. If we look at the mobile, we see that we have the new version. And again, the pinning location, we probably want to change it to something like maybe 50%. And now if we check our site on mobile, on tablets, so 2015, maybe 20, doesn't matter. And when we change to yeah, so on desktop, tablets, and mobile. And this is basically what we would be seeing on the front end as well. So depending on the device type, it will download the correct image sizes and draw canvas size with the right image with the right dimensions. And that's it. That's all there is to it, really. Hope you like it. And I mean, there's a lot of users that you can make of this for showing products. You can use it for your you could potentially use it for your what do you say, case studies, for your own agency site, for example. Like here you could have it like for showcasing products, where you can have some kind of After Effects template where you have some devices where you show the sites of the clients in question, describe the product that you did, These text you just use motion effects that come with the Elementor to show and hide them at specific locations within the scroll, and so it could be useful in a lot of scenarios, I think. All right, that's all I wanted to show. Thank you for your time and hope you like it. Bye.